maximizing your Roth IRA. When should you spend your Roth money in retirement? I think there's a big misconception around this, and we want to dive into it today, Cory. So you ready? You buckling up?
Let's do it. I'm buckled in.
All right, here's the question. If you could choose exactly when to tap your Roth IRA for tax advantage portfolio longevity and estate benefits, would you know when to do that? And most retirees guess, and it could cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. They can do this. And here's the problem, Cory. You only get one shot to get this right? Once you pull money out of a Roth IRA, if you're no longer working, if you no longer have earned income, you can't put that money back in there. It's out. The cat's out of the bag. Now, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I think that how much money to take out, actually the timing of when you pull money out of a Roth IRA is just as important as how much money you're taking out of the account in the first place for exactly these reasons. The timing of it is different.
Timing is different. So many high net worth retirees, that's who we work with, default to spending from pre-tax accounts first. And actually, I would argue that's what our financial planning software actually typically defaults to. So I don't think the retirees are necessarily wrong, but here's the problem. If you don't have a withdrawal strategy, you can trigger IRMA surcharges, which we've talked about on the show. And for our audience that haven't seen that episode of Upticks, it's where we talk about Medicare and your cost of Medicare going up based on how much money you make, also known as how much money you pull out of your pre-tax accounts. That adds to your IRMA surcharges. It could make you have
confusing.
It is confusing. Did I miss something, Cory?
No. It's just nice and confusing hearing it out loud.
Yeah, you could have bigger RMDs or accelerate them and destroy all tax efficiency. So, like you said, there's a lot of confusion and there's some unintended consequences from poor sequencing. This is the cost, the emotional cost of it. You're uncertain and you're scared of running out of money. So most people are just trying to do what they can do, Cory, to preserve their wealth as long as they live, forever. Very few people want to run out of money. Here's the opportunity. The good news is, the bright side of this is if you use your Roth correctly, it can become the most powerful, or one of them, I shouldn't say the most, one of the most powerful financial planning levers in your toolbox, because you get tax-free growth, you don't have any requirement of distributions, and there's big estate planning value. So let's pause there, Cory, for your thoughts on this before we go over like a generic example.
Sure. So a few quick thoughts. One would be that we're really talking about strategic cash flow planning for lifetime tax efficiency, right? Like it's easy for us to think about year to year, but we're really talking about the entire lifetime of these dollars and somebody's financial plan too. So that's crucial. The timing around the Roth dollars and thinking about tax efficiency for the big picture in the long term. But secondly, the Roth, I think about a Roth account, Jake, how it's almost like a multi-purpose tool. It can be used in several different ways because of the tax efficiency around it. Like it can reduce future taxes. It can actually extend a portfolio's life, right? If somebody has Roth dollars that they don't have to pay taxes on it, a cleaner, more efficient legacy, even from a tax standpoint too. So there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of advantages to using this type of account, but you really do want to understand why you're funding it when you are and why you're pulling money out of the account when you are, because it can make a big difference. And it can really probably, Jake, make or break a retirement plan for a lot of people.
You're right, Cory. And, a lot of our clients don't have a lot of money in Roth IRAs, but, for them, it's not too late. We've talked about this also, Cory, that you can do Roth conversions. So this is all to make it more complicated, like you said, and confusing. Let's say you've got $3 million, but none of it's in a Roth. Well, it's not too late. You can pull some of that money out of that IRA and move it to a Roth. Now, it is taxable, but this could help smooth out your lifetime tax rate. And it could help ultimately lower your Medicare premiums and give more money to your kids and less money to Uncle Sam later down the road. So that's the whole key here. That's why we talk about Roth IRAs so much. I think they're a very powerful tool, and I think that a lot of advisors actually overlook them. Like if a client had $3 million in a pre-tax, IRA, sometimes they don't even bring it up, and it's like you should be talking about this every year with your financial planner. Just to revisit the Roth. It should be that simple. It should roll off your tongue. Let's revisit the Roth. Does the Roth make sense for me? Right? When should I pull from that Roth, which is today's topic? So let's go into a story.
Let's do it.
This is generic because I like to keep my client stuff anonymous, but this could have happened out there. So we'll call this couple Dave and Susan. How about that, Cory? It's a good name.
All right.
Dave and Susan. And let's say they live in Kansas City and they have $3.4 million in investable assets. So they've got money in a traditional IRA pre-tax. They've got money in a Roth. Maybe they got some money in a brokerage account, Cory, which I'm a big fan of. And then they even have health savings accounts. And normally when we meet with people like this, they normally say, I don't ever want to touch the Roth. It's for my kids. And but what's cool about this is that our financial planners can basically walk through these before and after impacts of doing various withdrawal strategies. My point is, what we would really start with, Cory, is that we would fill up tax brackets, is what we normally do. So we would go all the way up to a certain bracket. Maybe it's the 22 or 24% bracket with that pre-tax money. And then we would start pulling from the Roth. Or we go all the way up to the IRMA limits, and then we start pulling from the Roth. Right? Or maybe we start converting every year to the Roth to lower their distribution. The key here is that this couple, this is too generic, but like, they could have saved $100,000. Dave and Susan. They could have saved $100,000 by doing these types of things. And we see it all the time. Or save $12,000 a year in Medicare just by pulling from their Roth versus their pre-tax. Cory, do you have mine was very generic. Do you have a real world?
Dave and Susan, I do. So how about this, Jake? Actually, this is good because I think we're looking forward. So this is a real life example from very recently.
Okay,
just had a conversation with a client who's retired last week, actually. They're not yet Medicare age. And our conversation was around, because they're not on Medicare and they're paying for their health care through the Affordable Care Act marketplace, the rules around subsidies are changing next year. And a lot of the generous COVID subsidies effectively that have been in place are falling off. So we talked strategically about what dollars to pull their income from in retirement next year and beyond, so we can roll with these changes. And the reality is the distributions from a Roth account can provide a lot of flexibility for this person to actually control their taxable income on paper, which can actually help to control the cost of their healthcare and retirement.
I love that, Cory. I mean, you're adding some serious value to these people's lives by having that conversation. And I've got a nice framework that I'm going to share with our audience today, some takeaways that they can do when they're thinking about this. But that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you for bringing that to Upticks. And a quick timeout for a commercial. Thank you to all of our audience for tuning in. Please continue to like and share our content. The whole point of Upticks is to enhance financial literacy. If you think we're any good, give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating, and be sure to follow both of us on Instagram, where you get more great content out of me and Cory. I'm at Jake_Falcon_CRPC, and Cory is Cory Bittner KC. Also, this is very important, Cory. For our audience members, we are offering an exclusive complimentary ebook copy of my best-selling book, Retiring Right, Smart Steps for Exiting Corporate America, where I talk about a lot of this stuff in that book. It's on our link, or let Luke at FalconWealthAdvisors.com know, and he can direct you. You fill out a simple form on our website or wherever the link goes, and you'll get your free copy of Retiring Right. How about that, Cory?
That's a pretty good deal. The price is right.
The price is right, Cory. All right. So here we go. The framework that I was alluding to here before the commercial break was that there's a 3-phase Roth timing system, right? And this is how we can guide clients. This is stuff that you're doing. So phase 1 is something called tax alpha window. And when you think of alpha in our industry, it's just adding value, right? How do we do better? And so early retirement. So this would be age 60 to age 72. And this is exactly what I talked about doing, Cory, is you fill up those lower brackets with Roth conversions. And then you would actually delay Roth spending to preserve that. So you're in this sweet spot, which I tell clients. So let's say they retire at 60, Cory, and they don't have to start taking required minimum distributions till 73. It could be 75 based on when you're born. But we have this retirement red zone, or the sweet spot, where we can start, if you're in the 22 or 24% bracket, whatever it is, we start doing Roth conversions every single year. Maybe it's only 10 grand, maybe it's 20 grand, but we're just knocking these out, keeping you in the low bracket, not touching the Roth, letting that money grow tax-free, but we're pulling money out of your IRA and moving it into a Roth for this decade of time, right? Decade plus of time. Do you have thoughts on that I missed on the first phase?
No, I think that makes perfect sense. That's what that window of opportunity is for. It's just being mindful of your taxable income.
Yeah, so tax alpha window. That's good. The window, right? I call it a red zone window, whatever you want to think of it. All right, phase number 2 would be brackets and breaks, right? So here you want to monitor those required minimum distributions. So this is when you're age 73 or 75. And then you're doing Roth withdrawals for bracket control. So maybe you're forced, Cory, to pull out $100,000 a year from your IRA, $200,000, right? We have some clients that have some big time required minimum distributions. Well, they're doing that, but then if they need more money or they're doing something else, then they pull that Roth to keep their brackets as low as possible. Okay. Also, just a quick thought.
Yeah.
You can also donate some of those required minimum distributions. Even though you may need to spend the money, that can come out tax-free because you're donating it, and then you can use the Roth withdrawals to keep you in that low bracket. So there's a lot of There's actually a lot of tax planning for clients in their 70s that they probably don't think about that we do for clients.
For sure.
Thoughts on that one, Cory?
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. Again, it's all about controlling taxable income, right? Because it's really the lifetime tax efficiency is what we've talked about here. But I do like that. I'm curious, Jake, have you implemented that strategy before?
For bracket control, luckily, a lot of my clients, we've already planned a lot for their RMDs. So we already have controlled their bracket. So I would argue, Cory, in that tax alpha window phase, we did a much better job.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to do that much. I think I've brought it up that they could do that.
Sure.
And a lot of my clients are still in their 50s and 60s and early 70s. So I don't have as many clients. I have more and more, obviously, every year, getting into that 73 to 80 age range. But I haven't. How about you? Have you had to deal with that as much?
No, not so much. But because again, it's sort of planning in that window of opportunity ahead of time. The tax alpha window, Jake, to make sure I'm using the same vernacular there. Like that really is what it's all about. But it does, again, regardless of the age, right? If somebody is at the RMD age, the ability to access those funds tax-free is huge. And that, again, this whole show today is about when do you pull money out of the Roth account to spend it? And that's not a simple answer for anyone. It has to be part of your more strategic plan. It has to be part of your bigger picture financial plan.
Good, Cory. All right. So phase 3 is legacy leverage. This is when you're 80 or older. So then you use the Roth if you've got some crazy healthcare issues, which happens, right? Or if you want to give money to your grandkids or somebody. But it's really a legacy tool if you don't need it. So now we're really trying to turbocharge that Roth. You need it. It's there if you need it. But also we understand that this eventually is going to go to your heirs tax-free. So that's why we like it. So legacy leverage would be phase 2. So number 1, again, thank you, Cory, that tax alpha window, brackets and breaks, and then legacy leverage. It's a quick, easy to remember 3-step phase to looking at managing your Roth. So here's a myth, Cory. Save Roth for last. What do you think about that mindset?
I think that's the mindset that a lot of people have, but I don't know if that is I think that's a myth that we need to bust.
Yeah, I get it. So it's not about last to me. It's about the best time.
Correct.
You know another good time to use your Roth? Typically, our clients' Roth IRAs are more aggressive because the money's growing tax-free. So we try to get max growth. It's not guaranteed, but we try to get max growth. I like people using their Roth, Cory, when their stocks are way up.
Yep.
That's when I tell clients to use it.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it does, right? It's in a vacuum, right? If you can take money out of stocks when the market's up or when the market's down, it's better when it's up. And if you can pull it out of an account that's tax-free and that fits into your financial plan, even better.
Yeah. Do you have any other circumstances where you've told a client, go ahead and use the Roth, even though it's not last, they've got other money? Do you have another one? Do you have another example?
Yeah, actually, yes. Clients that have not even reached, Jake, the age of 59 and a half, that have had a liquidity need come up that's allowed them to take their own contributions back out of the Roth IRA, regardless of their age. So some people have treated their own contributions to the Roth as probably a last resort bucket, Jake, for liquidity, but a last resort liquidity bucket they've got access to without any taxes or penalties, regardless of their age.
Yeah, good one, Cory. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know that what you contribute to a Roth, you can actually pull back out. It's the earnings that you have to wait on.
Right.
And I
think a good example of that, Jake, is somebody buying a house, for example. I think somebody, buying a first house, having access to some funds for the purpose of liquidity.
Yeah, if the younger people, they've never owned a house and they've got a lot of money in their Roth, but they don't have a lot elsewhere, they need a little bit more for the down payment. It's not the worst idea. Another one is I have for a splurge purchase, right? So maybe you want to buy a boat, right? Or go on a vacation. And we have it in the plan. You don't want to spend money like that at that level without planning for it. But that's when a Roth can be used as a slush fund, is my point. So maybe you've got your IRA and you're pulling $8,000 a month from your IRA. It's just coming out very steady. And you've got a couple $100,000 in a Roth. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to pick on that whenever I want to do something crazy. I want to buy a motorcycle. I want to take my whole family on a cruise, whatever it is. You use that Roth for your slush fund. So it's kind of separate out of there.
And it's not a joint account with Uncle Sam. That makes it an even better.
Right, it comes out tax free.
To your point, yeah.
Yeah, you get more bang for your buck that way.
Makes sense.
So here's the takeaways, Cory. Roth timing is not simple, but it can be predictable with the right plan. So just remember, you got to control your tax brackets. That's one of my best case scenarios for a Roth. You can reduce those Medicare premiums, which clients hate that, by the way. They hate paying more for Medicare.
Yeah, the IRMA surcharges, they don't like it. Yes. Yep.
They get mad about that IRMA. I understand. Or give more money to your kids and grandkids ultimately by enhancing your legacy. So it's based on your tax situation and you can't take generic advice. That's the whole point of the show. That's what we hopefully got your attention with, audience, is that it's not cookie cutter. Yes, there are defaults that a lot of places will say spend it last, but I don't agree with that. That's not always the case. We'll start there, but every time you review with a financial planner, you should be looking at IRMA, tax brackets, and your Roth and figuring out, all right, does it make sense to tap it or just let it keep going?
That's good.
All right. Anything else, Cory, if I pull up a call to action here?
Pull it up.
All right, so here's the call to action. So if you've got over $1 million saved and you want a custom Roth timing analysis, we'll call this one RTA, Cory.
I like it.
Check out our website, falconwealthadvisors.com. You can click on contact us and we'll schedule time and we'll do it. Just let them know you want to do a Roth timing analysis. Again, these are for people with over $1 million and we're happy to go over that with you and crunch the numbers and see if it works.
Perfect. That's
any
valuable.
More thoughts
That's
on
very
Roth
valuable.
Thank you. I think it is too. Any more thoughts, Cory, on Roth as we wind down today's episode?
Yeah, don't just follow the default. If you don't live your life, if you don't live a default life, which I don't think anybody does, this is just like anything else where you really want to be careful with the defaults or the rules of thumb. Recognize that this is all relevant to your plan and it's not relevant for everyone, but it's not a one-time conversation either. And on this show, Jake, we've talked about so many things that have changed, and it's all job security for you and me. But it's also the reason that we reinforce and want to drive home for the audience that your plan needs to be about you. Your Roth dollars and your goals in your plan need to be yours. And if you have those things outlined, we can absolutely work with you to figure out the best way to handle things. But it's really about what's important to you and what you're trying to accomplish, not anybody else, or not some default pattern.
Good, Cory. And I'd like to share something with our audience also, because I'm actually changing my perspective for the first time in a long time, I feel like, on this. I've been doing this almost 20 years, Cory. I have thousands of meetings. And I would argue, I just posted about this actually. So make sure and go out there and follow me and Cory out there on Instagram. But I would argue, Cory, that money is emotional. And for years, I say it's not. You need to make the unemotional decision. You need to do what the math says. But I've just learned, Cory, after, again, almost 20 years, that we are happy to crunch the numbers for a client on these Roth IRAs or anything. And we can tell you what the math says to do. However, I would argue that that's not always the right answer, because people have feelings, they have emotions, they have bias, they have conditioned mindsets, ways that they were raised. And our job at Falcon Wealth Advisors is twofold. It's to help clients solve their financial problems. Right? Do I have enough to invest? That's one of the biggest problems we solve, is how much money do I need to retire? For some clients, it's 5 million. For some, it's 500,000. Most of our clients, it's over $1 million. That's what they need. It's just the way it is. And Cory, we try to help clients from making stupid decisions. That's it. How can we solve your financial problems and avoid making stupid decisions that will screw up your whole financial plan? Right?
Yes.
But I don't want people to think that they have to become unemotional about their money. I just want to challenge them to still make a good decision. It might not be the perfect one. We might crunch the numbers and say, Mr. Client, you're going to have 100,000 more if you do this, and this. And they may say, you know what? I don't want to do that. Does my plan still work? And if the plan still works, then it's okay. And maybe I have kind of been like this. I think I've been okay with that. It's the emotion part that I'm actually embracing more and understanding that it's okay to be emotional about money, but that doesn't give you a free pass to make a stupid decision.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, just want some food for thought on that. What are your thoughts on that? My new perspective here, Cory.
I can't believe that we haven't had this conversation sooner. 20 years to figure it out that money's emotional, Jake. I'm just teasing you, but it is. I mean, it is. I think that it is the point that we want to reinforce for people is that you just said it best, Jake. You said, it's okay to be emotional, but you don't want to let those emotions, you don't want to make stupid decisions because of them. Like, that's really what it boils down to. But you're not telling people that they need to suppress their emotions. You're not telling people that they shouldn't feel anything when the market's up or down in one direction or whatever happens. But what you're telling them is, it doesn't mean that you should act on that emotion every time it pops up. And money is emotional for people. It is.
Yes. And I'm also saying, if your plan works in multiple ways, then you should pick the way that feels best for you.
That's right.
I just met with someone, Cory, recently, they're going to cash out a ton of money and pay a ton of taxes to pay off their mortgage because they don't understand the stock market. They're not a client.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just met with them pro bono, but I was like, you realize the amount of taxes you're going to pay to do this. But you know what? They don't have money in the stock market, so they probably shouldn't be in it. They're older. They don't get it. And am I confident that their financial plan would be better if they didn't do this? Yes, I am. But I wasn't going to change their mind, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I went over to really want to understand why they were doing it. And they were like almost evangelical. Is that the word? Evangelical? Evangelical?
Evangelical. Yep.
Evangelical. Thank you, Cory. Evangelical. Your vocabulary, I think, is probably a leg up on mine, by the way.
You heard it here first.
If I'm a 6, you're probably a 7.
All right.
Rachel's like
I was thinking
10.
an 8 or 9, but now I'm just teasing.
All right. She's probably 9. You're probably an 8. I give you maybe an 8. I'm a 7. She's a 9. Anyways, evangelical.
I think so.
Is that how you say it? All right. Evangelical about it, Cory. I mean, they were preaching to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my office. We're on a phone call. It's a Zoom, but I can't see them. And I'm sitting in here with my financial planner, head of planning, Jake Cross. And we're just like, Jake rolled out the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, how that could help them. We kind of went over once this money is in your house, you can't get it. I mean, the only way to get it is to sell your house or take a home equity line. There was and we weren't trying hard. I was like, it doesn't matter at this point. We're so established. It doesn't matter what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I care about them. That's it. That's what I wanted to. I care about them. I said, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't be in this. You don't understand it. And you know what happened? The one day the market goes down, they'd be freaking out, ruffling all their stash.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
so while I don't think it's the wisest decision, this isn't their money. They inherited it, so they weren't going to have it anyway. So the way I looked at it is like they are decreasing their debt. Do I think it's a smart decision? No. Do I think it's dumb? No. So I think it works for them, and I'm okay with that. And I think years ago, Cory, in my younger years as a wealth advisor, I don't think I would have been okay with it. Is my point. I don't think I would have handled that meeting as professional as I did. I would have said,
"That's stupid. What are you doing?" I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think
I'm just teasing.
I would.
I know that.
I would have taken it. I would have taken it more personal and less professional because they didn't want to. I was like, "What are you doing?" I asked them that though. I was pretty blunt. I was like, "What are you doing? You know how much money you're gonna have to owe in taxes? What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" Well, you know what they said? We talked to several people. I was like, were any of these licensed advisors? I was like, well, no. I said, okay, well, let me give you my opinion as a licensed advisor. And then if you still feel that way, then okay. But at least I gave you my opinion. Didn't charge them. So that's what I want to wrap up on today's episode is that it's okay for money to be emotional. These Roth IRAs are going to be emotional for you because a lot of people put money in there for their kids, Cory, not for them. Or a lot of people hate paying IRMA.
That's true.
So they're going to use their Roth.
I haven't met anybody that loves it.
So, but my point is it's okay. Again, our role as wealth advisors help you solve your financial problems, improve your plan, and help you avoid make dumb decisions. And again, I don't think these people are dumb decisions. I don't think it's the best. As a fiduciary, I wanted to say what I think they should do, but they didn't want to take my advice. You know what? They're not clients. They're not going to be clients. It's okay. Like I gave them my advice and they're adults. They're going to do what they're going to do, So I think that's a good land. Do you have anything else to add, Cory? Do you have anything personal you want to share with our potential millions of viewers of this or listeners of this show?
This isn't so personal, but let me just share, Jake, an alternate perspective to what you just talked about to kind of help just paint the picture. I had a conversation today, actually, with someone that inherited over $500,000 from a grandparent that they had no idea they were going to inherit. This individual, Jake, it's really almost like the opposite of what you just described. It's different, but they had no idea this money was coming. As relatively young, around my age, as 3 young kids. And what was causing them the most anxiety was potentially screwing it up, was actually making a stupid decision because they didn't know it was going to be there. And we were having questions, Jake, about, do I take a chunk of money out to pay down the mortgage? Do I take a chunk of money out to pay the mortgage down so we can get rid of PMI? What's going to be best for me in working for this? But basically, how can I be a good steward of the money and use it to actually make a better life for my family? Because this individual shared with me that they grew up in a home with one parent and there wasn't a lot of money around. So just different perspectives. But that also, Jake, is the reason that people are emotional about money.
Yes.
Like what
an awesome perspective, because I wouldn't have thought that from somebody like that.
Right.
And
they totally have the right priorities in mind to be able to use the money to make a better life.
Yeah, and let's be clear. We talked about this today, and I'm glad you shared it with our audience. Is that like there's no judgment, by the way, when we talk about this. What's fascinating to me is how people are different. And again, our job was to solve the problem, help make their financial plan better, and help them talk them out of doing something stupid. Now, these people were going to do something stupid with the money, Cory. I would have encouraged them to do something different. I really would have. But again, it's their money, not my money.
That's right.
That's what's hard about being professional. It's like,
it's true.
But we want to give you advice. We want to help you out. You're the adult. You've got to make the decision. Good perspective, Cory, that this person, and good for them. They don't want to screw it up.
No.
Because you're right. $500,000 can turn into $1 million. And it doesn't actually take that long. It can happen as little, depends on what rate of return you make, but you could, in a decade, you could have $1 million, you could be a millionaire.
Yeah, especially this is someone in their early 30s.
Right. So in their
3 young
40s,
kids, they would have every reason, Jake, to want to spend as much of the money as possible.
They probably quote unquote need it. Think they need it. So that's good. So that's again our job as advisors. And again, that's what Cory and I love about what we do is helping people, having these different types of conversations, trying to help people make good advice. We know there's no guarantee. There's no future return guarantee. We don't know, but we're just gonna try to help you make good decisions. We've had thousands of reps doing this. Like I said, both of us had these conversations today. Today is one day. Yeah. Who knows what'll be tomorrow?
Right. But we'll see.
That's what we love about our jobs. And so again, thank you, Cory, for sharing that. Thank you, as always, for being my permanent guest on Upticks. And thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website at www.falconwealthadvisors.com and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.